Here's more wrestling news for January 14th, 2023, and we're starting off this afternoon with SmackDown as Sami Zayn had to go it alone on this week's show for his latest match with Kevin Owens. When Zayn walked into the Bloodline's locker room, Paul Heyman had a message from Roman Reigns, who wanted to show love to the honorary Uce. That love was that Zayn would be allowed to go and face Owens in the main event on his own with no help, something that Sami seemed glad to do. The amazing main event was cut short when the Bloodline's Usos and Solo Sikoa did appear and cause a disqualification, and while that seemed bad at first, it actually makes a lot of sense. Sami's expression after the interference made it clear that he was not happy, as tensions between himself and the rest of the Bloodline continue to build. Further turmoil was teased before the Bloodline united and stood tall over Owens, but with the seeds of dissent continuing to be planted, the increasingly courageous Zayn will be having a monumental face turn relatively soon. SmackDown also saw Bray Wyatt come out and cut yet another promo, and while his promos can come across at times as rambling with no message, this week's had fans on edge. For the live audience, Wyatt's promos usually go down well, but for those at home and on the internet, they're often groan-inducing, with audiences waiting for him to wrestle. For his entrance this week, a QR code appeared on the screen, and when scanned, fans saw a photo of Bray as the Fiend sitting in the rocking chair he was seen with during his time as the Eater of Worlds. Referencing two of his previous gimmicks, it doesn't seem like Wyatt will fully revert back to either one, but rather that he is incorporating them in some form into his current character. Fans are eager to see Wyatt wrestle on TV, something he has not done since WrestleMania 37, and with the pitch black match against L.A. Knight drawing closer, it'll be interesting to see which side of Wyatt comes out. It was on last week's SmackDown that Charlotte Flair retained her women's championship against Sonya Deville in what was a fine match where the result was never in any real doubt. Deville hasn't held any gold in WWE in her 7 years with the company, so the idea of her dethroning the most decorated champion in women's history seems doubtful, but that is the story WWE is trying to tell. On SmackDown, Deville made it clear she wants a rematch against the woman who beat her last week, and Adam Pearce called her out on wanting another shot at the title. Nevertheless, Flair and Deville ended up having a backstage brawl, and a SmackDown Women's title match has been teased for the Royal Rumble. Deville has no basis to ask for a title rematch, something Adam Pearce made clear on TV and Twitter, leaving fans scratching their heads as to why this feud is continuing. More from SmackDown as Gunther has reigned as Intercontinental Champion for over 7 months now and continues to deliver in the ring. In one of the biggest matches, and we mean that literally, of Gunther's WWE run, he took on Braun Strowman and was able to vanquish the monster among men to retain the Intercontinental title. It was a perfect opener for this week's SmackDown and easily among Strowman's 5 best matches since his main roster call-up in 2015. The decision to have the Ring General retain was the right one, as Imperium are looking stronger than ever heading into the Royal Rumble. With reports of Gunther versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, a physical match if there ever was one, it's unlikely that the Austrian will win the Men's Rumble match, but expect another stellar performance by Gunther and Imperium later this month. When you're a WWE superstar, you have a legion of fans who would love to one day meet you and possibly get a picture, but there are always the fans who take things way too far. On Twitter, fans can follow the WrestleCringe account to see some of the most embarrassing tweets from certain fans, and recently shared a video regarding Lacey Evans. In the video, Evans poses with a fan who says that she's an American hero, a fair line, the hottest women's wrestler, a bit on the pervy side, and added that she's just had a baby and look how good looking she is. It was at this final comment that Evans drew the line, asking if the fan had died before, which caused the creepy fan to back off and apologize for what they said. Fans weren't happy one bit with this person's creepy behavior, with one saying it deserved a place on the Mount Everest of cringe. WWE superstars may be larger-than-life characters, but they're also real people, and that's something all fans should remember before speaking to a wrestler. This month, WWE will host its Raw is 30 event and is bringing back some big names for the 30th anniversary of their flagship show. X-Pac, Kane, and Ric Flair are all reported to be at the event, and now PW Insider has learned that Shawn Michaels will be at Raw in Philadelphia on January 23rd. Michaels was on the very first Raw, picking up a victory over Max Moon to retain HBK's Intercontinental title, so it's only fitting that a man with countless Raw memories and matches will be on the show this month. Last year, Stone Cold Steve Austin competed for the first time in 19 years and looked in great shape for his first match back. Austin wowed fans in his native Texas with his match in front of over 65,000 fans, but recently the Rattlesnake wowed fans in a much smaller setting. On TikTok, a fan recently shared a video of themselves picking up food at a drive-in restaurant, and who was in the small windowed cubicle to hand out the food? None other than the Texas Rattlesnake. When the video found its way to Twitter, the original uploader said that there was a film crew on site and that they were interviewed before signing a release form, so they expect this is for some TV project. With reports that Austin is gearing up for another match at this year's WrestleMania, the Rattlesnake won't be scarfing down too many double cheeseburgers himself, but he certainly made this fan's day with his time at the drive-thru. And we're ending with some unfortunate news to report, as WWE superstar Veer Mahaan wasn't at this week's NXT, and there's a very real reason for that. On Twitter, Mahaan gave a tribute to his father, who died recently, saying that his soul is shook with the pain of losing his dad. Veer said that whatever he is today, it's only because of his parents, and vowed to try and follow in his father's footsteps until his own last breath. It had been reported that Mahaan will be back in WWE within a few weeks, but right now, his focus is on his family and dealing with his loss, and we wish him and his family the best at this sad time. CM Punk, who was once the top name in AEW, but the voice of the voiceless, is far from popular these days. After All Out, Punk was pulled from all AEW programming and hasn't been seen since, and it's been reported that there is a team of people, led by Chris Jericho, who will block his return. This week, Punk made his feelings heard about AEW, and with what he said, it doesn't sound like someone who's ready to wrestle on Dynamite or Rampage. On Instagram, MJF showed off his 2 PWI End of the Year awards, but for the Feud of the Year award, which went to MJF versus Punk, the AEW World Champion taped over Punk's name and wrote his own. Responding, Punk advised MJF to find some tape for AEW's ratings to ensure nobody sees those either. Mocking AEW's ratings is hardly the move of a locker room leader ready to return, and while Punk could be brought back one day, comments like these are making that idea seem less and less likely. And we're ending today with the Judgment Day, who after a few early hiccups and changing members, have come into their own as a group on Monday Night Raw. This week, the Judgment Day were crowned the #1 contenders for the Raw Tag Team titles and earned this shot in impressive fashion. Originally, the team in the Tag Team Turmoil match was Finn Balor and Damian Priest, but after Balor said that he couldn't compete, Dominic Mysterio took his place. The group defeated every single team in the Tag Team Turmoil match, and Fightful Select reports that their efforts were lauded backstage for how well they did in such a long match. Mysterio's name was singled out on the report, as not only did he compete, but he also introduced his new ex-convict character, which has proven to be quite a hit with a large portion of fans. The fact that the match was specifically to determine the next challenger for the Raw Tag Team titles has led many to feel the Usos' gold will be split up soon, and whether the Judgment Day can dethrone them or not, their efforts did not go unnoticed this week.